Round 4 of the Indy Elite Series takes over 20 drivers across the ocean to the island of Japan. After running on the road course at Road America 2 weeks ago, we returned to oval racing for 150 laps at Twin Ring Motegi, Honda's test track. It contains 2 world-class courses that lay on the same land, but tonight it's all about racing one of the very few ovals outside of United States soil. Welcome everybody to Sim TV. My name's Kyle Heyer, joined by Finian DeCuna for the 4th round of the 2022 season for the Indy Elite Series. Finian back on the oval this time in Japan, and this time with 24 drivers trying to win it all.
Yeah, we've gone from doing lefts and rights to just going back to lefts, at least for the next few races. We go to, actually you say that next week we're actually headed to Mid-Ohio, so never mind about that. But we've seen earlier in the season from Michigan and Iowa, we saw similar names to the top of the standings. I imagine we're going to be seeing something very similar here. I actually say that, although the driver who won the first 2 oval races of the season, he's currently back in 9th. And may not stay there, may actually end up dropping positions, and he's completed his qualifying run. So, I gotta just throw out my entire intro because I'm just being proven wrong left, right, and center.
Well, there's still plenty of time for that. This race is 150 laps tonight, so I'm sure we'll be proven wrong several times. Expecting about 3 pit stops tonight in the 150 laps that we've got to run. Cars are on track qualifying. The popular pick in the fantasy choices this week, Jason Brophy in the number 88. I think a lot of drivers would have chosen Rob Motegi because of his multiple race wins so far this season, but he's so expensive now in the fantasy that a lot of drivers didn't pick him on purpose. Motegi is the points leader coming into tonight by about 43 points over the next quickest driver. So as we step into our 4th round of the season, the next driver in line to go past Motegi at the points is Andreas Eick, who was 43 points back. Then it's Stouffer, 17 points behind that, and Joe Branch and Tony Schowen just beyond that. So I think those 5 have really shown to be some of the forces, but Jason Brophy, who we look at right now, is 6th. He gained 8 spots after Road America last week. So this 88 is certainly on a climb up the standings. However, will it end at an oval after climbing up on the road course?
Well, we'll see here. He's on his first flying lap, going through turns 3 and 4. Very tight. Going to definitely want to watch that exit of turn number 4. Going to catch him on you very quickly. We'll talk about that later. But for now, across the line for Brophy in the 88 machine, up to 5th. So, I mean, hey, fantasy pick looking pretty good so far. Top 5. And
he's going to stop there. I think he's going to coast it on down. He will take that 5th position in qualifying.
Man. I think, what's unfortunate about that is that for a second we had Chris Cahill, Chris Stouffer, and Chris Fowler, 4th, 5th, and 6th. Unfortunately,
Chris
broke that up. Yeah, Brophy broke that up, unfortunately.
Cross the line now for Matt Holliba in the number 02, and he will cross the line. He's exhausted his laps, and at this point he's just running around for some extra practice. Matt out of Ording, Washington for All-American iRacers in that green, white, and black IR18 that he's contested the last couple of seasons. 8th so far. Chris Stouffer out on track and currently 4th, also just trying to get some practice in. But Stouffer's had a pretty good season so far as well. We mentioned that he is currently 3rd in the standings. He lost 2nd to Andreas Eick. Those two were battling pretty fiercely at Road America a couple of weeks ago. But as we move back to the oval side of things, Finian, we've seen how some of our favorites kind of shift and shuffle. And one of the drivers that's back this week is Pablo Diaz in the number 22. No qualifying effort this time, but he finished 3rd at Michigan, so let's not count out that 22 car.
Yeah, we're see if he gets back in the car. I mean, I would hope that he's going to put a qualifying effort down because working through the pack here at Motegi, well, it's going to be kind of a similar story to Iowa. We saw it's going to be pretty hard to pass, and even with Motegi being more of a traditional speedway, pretty long in length, just under a mile and a half, it's going to be tough to pass here. So working from the back to the front is going to be a tall order. It's going to take a lot of laps to do it, and even then, you're just putting yourself back in traffic. So I'm a bit surprised not to even attempt to qualify, but we'll see where it puts him. Chris Stouffer, as mentioned, in 4th place. Matt Holliba also just kind of running laps out at the moment. I did see one driver join a little bit later.
Marshall Stanley, perhaps, in the number 5?
Oh, no, it might have been a spotter or a crew chief for one member. I'm trying to see who it was. Oh, it's a member for Pablo Diaz. He's got a crew chief on board. Fellow Iberian.
Yeah, so Pablo is currently going to start 23rd unless he gets on the racetrack here in the last couple of minutes. But maybe there's a reason that you'd want to start in the back, and I think we'll go over to the keys of the race once we get into our qualifying laps. But I think one of the keys I wanted to talk about before we get to that stage is the pick your weapon at this point in the season. We've really, as Pablo joins the racetrack now, we've sort of seen the juggernauts of the series sort of rumble to the front in the early part of the season. And again, this is not a long season by any stretch. We're quickly approaching the halfway point. We're essentially at the third mark right now. If you have not had a couple of good finishes and put yourself in the top 6 or 7 in points, I don't think you've got a chance to move forward, especially with how consistent the ones up front have been. Both of the top 2 in points have had 2 top 5s and 3 top 10s in the first 3 races.
Yeah, you're really going to have to try to beat that consistency. We're talking about consistency. Andreas Ike, been extremely consistent, not necessarily the quickest guy out there, except for today at the moment, currently sitting on provisional pole. Waiting on Pablo Diaz, currently, I believe, should be the last qualifier we'll see here in the number 22 machine, waiting for the very end of qualifying. We'll see this plays out from. I was not sure, maybe waiting for the track to see to cool a little bit more halfway through his lap.
Having a look at the weather, which we glanced at briefly right when we came to 69 degrees in the air, 93 on the track temps. It's actually a pretty cool day here as Pablo fires up for his first timed lap, and he will actually get enough time to...
Ooh.
Wow, that was a really quick lap, and that was going to put him second place, and he's going to call it quits right there. What a lap he just put in.
Yeah, what a lap he put in, but was still nearly 500 of a second slower than Andreas Ike. Ike put in a really, really solid lap, put a sizable distance between himself and the rest of the field, so I'm sure he's happy with that qualifying effort. Curious to see with the 76 if he can get a win. Again, it's been a decent time since he's been back to victory lane, and essentially he's fighting this man, number 91 of Robert Motegi, to try to take the top spot on the standings. And it really is going to depend where Motegi finishes, because he's got a decent lead with 43 points ahead of Ike.
Yeah, here's your points leader, as you mentioned, number 91 at DeWitt, Michigan for Power Slide Motorsports. He's already qualified himself 12th, which is not exactly the qualifying effort we would have suspected. He's dead middle of the field, so perhaps that's a bit of a surprise. I think he'll race much better than that. I'm curious to see how far he will move forward and how quickly it will take him. One of the other big discussions is the shape of this racetrack. Look down, a lot tighter on this end of the racetrack than it is on this end. It's an egg-shaped oval, and that creates a really unique challenge. It's a lot like Darlington, kind of scaled up a little bit in some ways, Finian. So that creates a really unique driving style for an IndyCar here at this racetrack.
Yeah, it is, as you mentioned, it takes a little bit of getting used to, because typically for most ovals, they drive more or less the same on entry and on exit. Slight difference, with the entry being a little bit tighter on one side, exit being a little bit tighter on the other, but these are two completely different sides of the racetrack, turns 1 and 2. Most part, you're going to be flat out, maybe a lift here and there just because you're going to be in behind a pack of people. But heading down, as you see Matt Halva heading down to turn 3 and 4, really have to make sure you get this car woe down, especially in behind another driver. In turn number 4, Calamity Corner, we're talking about more about it later on, is going to catch a lot of people off guard. You got to be very careful, very late on the throttle, and we have to wait definitely until you make sure you're not going to hit that wall. Otherwise, you're going to definitely find it very early and end your day early.
So checkered flag here at Twin Ring Motegi in qualifying, and you have a look there at the part of the racetrack that we're not running on, the road course, which is an interesting layout, and it is infuriating to drive, I find, because it's so similar. Every corner is so similar and so flat, but the oval is what we're contesting on tonight. We'll head back down to the racetrack here, Finney. Let's get our starting lineup rolling now as we move into our 150-lap race. On row number 1, it's going to be Andreas Ike in the number 76. He'll start alongside Pablo Diaz in the number 22 car.
And row number 2, we find Andrew Wood in the 64. Great qualifying effort for him. Starting next to him will be Chris Kao in the 57 in 4th.
In row number 3, starting in 5th, Christopher, the number 13 car, and Jason Brophy in the number 88 starts in 6th on the outside of row number 3.
Chris Fowler starting back in 7th place in the number 20 car, and 8th place find 97 Alexander Van de Sant in the 97.
In row number 5, Matt Halaba in the number 02 in 9th. Alexis Newsom rolls off 10th at her number 63.
Rolling off row number 6 will be 00 David Adams in 11th, with Robin Leshka in 12th, having a lot of work to do from that 6th row.
Row number 7, Jacob Oster in the number 09. Tony Showen starts 14th in the number 31 car.
AJ Musselman in the 54 car, going to be starting off in 15th, with Evan Adams rolling off in the 59 in 16th.
17th place, Joe Branch in the number 28, and Charles Ante starts 18th in the number 86 car.
John Downing going to be rolling off in 19th and 21. Craig Forsyth in the 27 car next to him in 20th.
In 21st place, Julian Altena in the number 71 got his first top 10 2 weeks ago at Road America. Dan Edge rolls off 22nd in the number 52.
And rounding out our 12th and final row, the 82 Wayne Hunter in the 23 Marshall Stanley. Rounding out your field of 24 cars tonight in the number 5 car.
Yeah, 24 IR18 Indy cars about ready to take the green flag here in just a couple of minutes. One last look here at the weather information. Track temp is going up. I'm curious to see if that will be a topic of discussion a little bit later today. These cars are already going to feel like they handle like garbage on one end of the racetrack. We'll see if it'll make it feel and handle worse towards the end. Keys of the race, odds and ends. The different shape of the racetrack on one end versus the other might not seem like a big deal, but it really creates a lot of compromises when adjusting your car throughout the race.
Yeah, absolutely. And then also, as you mentioned before, Calamity Corner, turn number 4. Got to watch yourself when you're in behind someone, or especially behind in the pack. You're going to definitely feel the car struggling to rotate. You're going to find yourself getting closer and closer to that wall. I wouldn't be surprised to see 3 or 4 cars in their day in that wall.
And of course, our last key to the race, pick your weapon. At this point in the season, I think our top runners in the points are already established. Now it just matters what order they're going to end up in. So pick your weapon now and jump on board the fanboy train to somebody here in this field, because one of these drivers, I think, in the top 6 or 7 will be your champion at season's end, all the way at the end of the season at our Indy 500 on April 24th. All right, 150 laps here for the 4th round of the 2022 Indy Elite Series. Andreas Eich and Pablo Diaz on that front row. 150 laps is about an hour worth of racing. You're watching Sim TV. Eich and Diaz on the front row. Green flag flies, and we're racing at Twin Ring Motegi in Japan. Pops and crackles on the downshifts into turn number 3 for the first time. Lap 1 is complete. Here's Andreas Eich and Pablo Diaz side by side for the race lead, and Diaz takes the top spot into turn 1.
Makes it really early. Looks like Diaz has got some pretty early pace. We'll see if Eich can try to get him behind slipstream, maybe make up another pass, but they're always starting to break out a little bit of gap to everyone in behind. Looking at Jason Brokey and Alexander Van Ness fighting there for a second to go back up to the leaders in turn 3 and 4.
Yeah, they've sorted it out for the time being. We're 3 wide with Stouffer, the meat in the sandwich. Fowler on the bottom in the number 20. On the outside was Robert Malechka, the number 91. Here's Brophy chasing Dukin and Dive and Andrew Wood in that 64, who dives underneath Chris Cahill. That's for 3rd place in turns 1 and 2. And Brophy goes way up the racetrack in 1 and 2.
Yeah, I think just trying to get some clean air to his nose, just trying to stay out of the aero wash, putting more work on his tires. I think definitely worthy of trying early on.
Into turn 3 again. Early in the race, using every inch of the racetrack, David Adams goes up to the 4th or 5th lane. He had a lot of trouble at Iowa Speedway and is really just trying to establish a rhythm at this point. Currently 14th after starting this race in 11th, so he's going backwards early, which is not the direction he would like to be moving, as we got a battle for 4th place. Here's Brophy and Cahill. Cahill slides back. Brophy up 2 spots now to 4th.
Yeah, that run on the outside is so hard to beat, and Brophy's able to just carry with so much more momentum, while Cahill was kind of stuck in behind. A little bit of wash in front of him, so Brophy going to get the spot. Still see these guys dogfighting for a position in behind. Chris Fowler trying to clear Malechka off of turn number 4.
Have a look at this, off into turn number 3. The 91 runs out of places to go. Fowler goes to the inside of Stouffer. Watch this, understeer, and there's a touch there through 3 and 4.
Yeah, so far no contact with them. Though to come back to them, Malechka still working that outside lane. Going to narrowly get clear of Fowler. Does Fowler try another dive at the inside? He goes for it again.
Yeah, this time a little bit more room between them. Alexis Newsom right behind as well. I was told earlier that drivers expect this to be an extremely aero-sensitive race tonight, where you're really going to struggle to go anywhere without the use of clean air. And Newsom gets some on the underside of Fowler at the exit at turn number 2, but it's going to be really hard to follow anybody through the corners.
Yeah, and even I just saw Alexander Van Ness just got a massive run on Chris Cahill, was able to clear for a position on the back straightaway. It was almost like a 10-mile-an-hour difference coming off of turn number 2. I think Cahill just really misjudged the corner. You see right there, huge head of steam from Van Ness able to clear up into 5th place.
Yeah, that's, again, if you have to lift out of the throttle, you're going to kill your momentum, and you have to lift out of the throttle here. This is not one of those full throttling sort of racetracks like we had at Michigan, you're off throttle significantly and going down a couple gears. Here's on board with Alexis Newsom now off into turn number 3, down 1, 2, 3 gears into turn 3, and all the way down to about 165 miles an hour before throttling back up.
Trying to get a run on Chris Fowler. We're going to see these guys starting to separate out just a little bit. And even with the slipstream, Newsom not able to quite get up to Fowler.
So through 1 and 2 now, everyone's kind of gotten single file out. Here's Evan Adams and Joe Branch trading spots. Evan Adams goes up to 16th place. Joe Branch down to 17th. And Marshall Stanley and Wayne Hunter all the way back for dead last, 23rd and 24th, swapping spots in the back straightaway.
You can see the pass by Hunter to gain a spot and trying to make it work.
I think Wayne Hunter was one of the drivers that was, yes, he was the driver involved in that first crash back at Michigan Speedway, so he really never got his season started, was in the wall at lap number 15 in the first race of the season, so looking for a bit of redemption here and losing a spot back to Marshall Stanley now in the back straightaway. Jacob Oster in the 09, another driver that we saw up in front of Michigan. But he has gone effectively nowhere so far. Started 13th, still running there right now.
Yeah, just hasn't been quite able to, find his groove. I guess it's better off than losing position, which of course some drivers have. Since the start, he's also got to watch his mirrors. David Adams looking like he's getting a great run off of turn number 2. Well, able to do anything with it though with the slipstream, trying to make a move, and you see Oster go defensive to the inside. That may not work though. Adams trying to get a great run on the outside. Yeah,
this is an interesting racetrack. When you get up out of that groove, sometimes it can benefit you, and sometimes you're just going to understeer off farther and farther. So how you enter that corner is so crucial. If you stay right on that white line, you can really get a good run off the corner if you can get back to throttle soon. But you have to lift out of the throttle so much earlier to make that line work that sometimes it will leave you vulnerable. But Oster and Adams still nose to tail, a car length between them on the backstretch.
Oster's going a little bit defensive. Adams trying to size up his opponent here. Going to have a little bit of a look to the inside, but nothing really he can do at the moment, especially because Oster's getting the tow from Tony Schowen up the road, so not really much he can do with the slipstream.
Charles Ante in that number 86. I think this is his first start of the season. And, whoa, real tight to the wall at the exit of turn 2. Almost packed it in the fence.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about. Typically, it looks like everyone's being more careful with turn 4, I think, because they kind of expect turn 4 to be that kind of, whoa, as they say that, Ante's been getting really close to that wall. He almost hit it off of turn number 4. Had it back way out of the throttle. As you mentioned, you really need to carry that momentum. You have to lift off the throttle. You lose all of it.
Well, Joe Branch continues to scrape his way forward. Out front, though, it's Pablo Diaz in the 22 late qualifying effort. But so far, he's led all 12, make that 13 laps that we've run so far. Andreas Eich just behind, running pretty similar lap times, only a couple hundred slower. But he is not really running down Diaz at the moment. That lead is slowly growing for the leading number 22.
Alexis Newsom looking like she's getting a great run on Chris Fowler off of turn number 2. A little bit of a lift off the throttle for her. Kind of ruined her momentum. She looked like she might be able to make a pass into turn 3. Having a look to the outside. Definitely looking like she's enjoying the outside lane compared to most other drivers.
Well, say what you will about the length of that outside groove and how wide this racetrack is. Look, I mean, there's so many lanes to choose from. But when you run that outside lane, you're also using a lot less tire than everybody else around you, which could prove to be really important. We've seen this race go yellow quite a lot in the past, but so far all green flag racing. And if we go green for long periods of time, how much you save those Firestone tires, that could be a crucial factor to who wins this race.
Yeah, and just about approaching the halfway point in the fuel run. These guys are going to go about 38, 42 laps on a tank of gas, a little bit closer to 38 laps. So 42's if they're stretching it, but it looks like no one's really saving at the moment. Everyone's going full beat, especially Newsom ripping that outside lane.
Yeah, really keeping that car tacked up. And again, building that run on the back straightaway, using that momentum and staying in line, a bit of a lift there perhaps. Maybe part of a fuel saving strategy. I don't really know. I don't think this race would naturally be a fuel mileage race in any sense of the word. But every little bit helps, as we've seen in the past. But here's a crossover now, has a look at Fowler down the front straightaway, but still stays line astern.
Yeah, I think this is really only going to be a fuel mileage race once a caution comes out. It's going to, throw everyone's fuel numbers out the window, got to recalculate it. It could put them in an interesting spot. See Newsom get really close to the wall. She's fearless coming out of turn number 2. She's got to be careful though. One of those times may get a little bit closer to the wall than she would like.
Yeah, look at how much more speed she's able to roll on the outside lane. And then how much she gains back on the straightaway. That was about 8 car lengths. Now it's about 2 make it 1 car length entering turn number 1. But the much shorter distance for Fowler is sort of evening that out. But Newsom keeps building this run on the backstretch and then has nowhere to go with it. It's difficult to dive underneath someone in turn 3, but she's going to give it a go, and we'll see if she can make that pass complete.
Yeah, again, but we've seen her work really well in that outside lane. Now she's kind of lost that, trying to keep the car struggling to rotate on the bottom, and Fowler able to clear.
Out front, Pablo Diaz leads by 1.4 seconds. The best battle is this 1 for 9th that we're watching now. Fowler in the number 20. This is a new name to us this season. We haven't seen him in years past. But Fowler is performing pretty well to start the year, I have to say. And in the points so far, probably not where he would want to be, currently 27th. But he's been running a lot better than he's been finishing. He crashed out at Michigan, and at Iowa finished 17th. But again, I think we've seen him further up in the running order than he ends up finishing the race. So it just has to translate the running order into a finish. That just means surviving the whole race.
I was wondering where I recognized the name before, because I was like, I feel like I've seen him before. Yeah, so I've actually raced against Chris Fowler in the Lionheart Series, which is a fixed IndyCar championship. I raced against him, I believe, in the Lotus 79. I remember racing against him. Pretty good competitor. You can see trying to struggle, still fighting with Alexis Newsom. Now on the outside lane, Newsom on the bottom. It looks like she's a little bit more present, but that run out of these corners is really killing her. Yeah, she's struggling to complete this pass. I think she is faster. And I think it was Matt Hollaba that told us pre-race that he expects this to be extremely aero-sensitive tonight, and Newsom is sort of stranded right now. She's got enough speed to get alongside, but not enough to fully complete that pass. So she's stuck here, and all the while, Matt Hollaba, who we were just talking about, runs 11th just behind them, and was closing in. So we'll keep an eye on that 0-2 as we continue throughout this race. But up front, everyone's just sort of found their groove, and everyone's about a second apart up front. And Jason Brophy was the popular pick in the fantasy so far this week, and he's moved up from 6th to 4th and continues that climb. Yeah, I think he's going to need to do something maybe a little bit creative with the strategy, maybe to see if he can try to get ahead of Andrew Wood at the moment, struggling to catch up to him, like we mentioned, with the wash, kind of at around the 8 to, everyone's kind of separated from around anywhere from like 7/10 of a second to about a second. That's when you start to really feel that push of the car coming out of these corners. So everyone kind of naturally settles out to these gaps.
So where are your race leaders? Here comes Pablo Diaz in the number 22, followed by Andreas Eich. 1.8 seconds between the two race leaders. Then it's Andrew Wood, Jason Brophy, Alexander Van de Sant, Chris Cahill, Stouffer, Malechka, Fowler, and Newsom. The rest of your top 10, and Newsom still hounding Fowler in this number 20 car.
Yeah, again, I definitely think she's got the faster car. There's no way around Fowler. Fowler's been doing a great job defending that outside lane, preventing her from getting it. Because once she gets that outside lane, it's going to be game over. But and she's been trying to work on that bottom, but as we've seen, that run off the corner is where it's killing her.
Well, she's found momentum on the outside. I think she should probably try staying there. Instead of going underneath Fowler, maybe try the outside and try to pin him down. But that's very dangerous. We saw early in the race how tight things can get. I think Fowler was actually the one on the inside that struggled to keep the car from pushing up when you have someone to your outside. So that's also a pretty dangerous maneuver, even though it might be more successful for Alexis to try that. Here she goes.
I think she's just kind of hoping that Fowler makes a mistake, and you can try to go to the outside here, but short way around definitely is a lot better in turns 1 and 2. And if she gets that big run, lets off the gas and just kind of letting it by. I think she's going to wait for Fowler to try to make an error. That way she can really pounce with some momentum.
There's what 210 miles an hour looks like. Past the camera.
About to rip the camera off the wall.
Unbelievable speeds here at Twin Ring Motegi on this oval. Again, a Honda test track, so it's used, or at least at one point was used for a lot of Honda's OEM testing.
Yeah, and if I'm not mistaken, ever since the earthquake that happened back in 2011, I believe, the track essentially became in a state of disrepair and has not really seen any action since. Oh, and
trouble.
change of position. Yeah.
Chris Fowler really slow on the front straightaway.
This is not because he hit the wall. This is because we were talking about him making a mistake coming through turns 3 and 4, caught the apron, went for a slide, and he said, "Thank you very much." And Position gain for her.
Yeah, here's another look at it in slow motion as he comes through turns 3 and 4. Gets that left front tire a little bit too low, catches the apron, and great job saving this car. Did a good job, kept in the throttle and kept it going straight, but he did drop 2 spots. Matt Hollaba also got by. I was worried that he had gotten into the fence with how slow he was, but just massively upset the car and got out of the groove.
Yeah, he's got to start worrying about Tony Schowen in behind. Schowen with a great run off the corner, had to lift off the gas just a little bit, fighting the wash off the corner.
Stouffer and Cahill going for a bit of a fight. This is for 6th.
And so for the attacker is going to keep the spot at least for now. Cahill trying to mount a counterattack.
So approaching our first pit stop sequence in the next 10 laps or so. And is there anybody that will try to split this race up any differently, Finney? You're just going to run the tank out and then come in?
I mean, I pretty much think you're going to run the tank out. I mean, otherwise you'd have to turn the engine down into one of the fuel save modes, and you've got essentially 5 fuel save modes in race space, 1 through 5. 6 and 7, you're only going to those are different full throttle maps. So you're really not going to touch those, and 8s for caution. So, I mean, you could try to turn the engine down a little bit, especially because, you know, if you feel like you're not going anywhere, you might as well turn the engine down maybe just a little bit to save some fuel. We'll see an edge very early in pit road. Not sure if that was for damage or what, or just really unscheduled stop for him.
And not exactly sure why would come down this early. Marshall Stanley is out of the race, pulled off the racetrack about 15 or 16 laps ago. Just quick stop for Ench and pulls back out on the racetrack.
Interesting. I mean, I guess we're talking about different fuel strategies. Let's see. I mean, he comes in now. He's going to be kind of a 4-stopper on the strategy he's on if he goes every 30 laps. I imagine everyone's going to try to stretch it as much as humanly possible.
Here's Fowler and Schowen. This is side by side for 11th place. Schowen on the inside, Fowler on the outside in the yellow.
Schowen trying to, and really you were talking about using that outside, but if you can get to that inside in turns 1 and 2, and if you have some clean air in front of you, it could work, but that's going to be the big thing is really the clean air. Not a whole lot of it available at the moment as everyone's pretty spread out across the entire racetrack.
Schowen carrying a lot of speed through 3 and 4, and Fowler again on the white line, kind of painting that inside lane. And here comes Schowen to the inside at turn number 1, keeps it full throttle. Fowler around the outside to hang on to this, and it looks like he might. But Schowen should be able to stay dead even with him on the back straightaway here. And look at this drag race into turn 3.
Yeah, trying to slow down Fowler as he head off into turn 3. Now heading through turn 4, Schowen trying to box Fowler out of position. He's going to barely get the spot, but watch out. Fowler, I thought he was going to try to tuck him behind, maybe get some slipstream. He can still fight on the outside lane.
Fowler's going to try to roll some momentum up here, but is the pass complete? It feels like it is, but it's not quite done just yet. Now Fowler sees that opportunity close as Schowen completes the pass. And I think the 20 will have to drop into the line. We should check also in on our points leader, Robert Malechka, who just got by Chris Cahill to put him into 7th place after starting back in 12th. So that's +5 for the 91. Really liking the long run pace of this car. Last time by, he was quicker than the race leader by only a couple hundredths of a second, but that adds up over the long race. Pablo Diaz to pit lane.
Does, as you mentioned, Diaz down into pit lane, lap 36, so kind of around where I was expecting most people to come on down, around that 38 lap mark. Chris Fowler also calling out that he is coming down the pit lane as well, so green flag pits up starting. Not too terribly surprised, it's the leader coming down first, as he's going to be the one using up the most fuel.
Have a look at Fowler's entry to pit lane. Whoa, yeah, look. 4 tires locked up.
Ooh. Let's see, will he be pulled over for speeding?
Andreas Eichen to pit lane.
Actually, looks like Fowler actually kind of overslowed it just to make sure he was safe, so he should be good.
Andrew Wood, current race leader, as the pit stop sequence begins at lap 37. Wood, Brophy were the 2 popular choices tonight for the fantasy picks. And Wood is going to stay out yet another lap. And these could be crucial laps later in this race, but they are probably going to give up a little bit of time. I say that, but their best lap is only about 0.2 quicker, Finney. Not a lot of tire drop-off that we're seeing in this race.
No, it really isn't. I mean, the fact that they're going slower is mostly, again, just fighting that dirty air. That's really the biggest thing with these Indy cars. They don't wear out normally. When they're in clean air, they're pretty fine. They have a little bit of fall off, but once you can throw in that dirty air as a factor, that's where they're really going to start losing some time. So you can get some clean air to your nose, especially if your setup was kind of designed for that. You're going to be much better off, especially in the middle of a pit stop sequence. Although it's not too many laps can kind of stay out there when people start coming in. We're only seeing about a 4-lap difference in fuel strategy here.
Christopher pulls out of pit lane. His finishes so far this season, 2nd, 11th, and 11th. Again, another driver, I think, whose potential has not quite fulfilled the promise of his runs. He's finished a little bit poorer than I would expect him to based on where he qualifies and how he competes earlier in the race. And wow, Motegi almost clobbered the pit road attenuator on the run down to pit lane.
Yeah, I'm kind of looking here if they're going to bop him for speeding. He came in just a little bit hot. I think he brought up enough speed, though, after the line. But, I mean, I guess he really maximized pit road entry there.
Yeah, that's terrifying from the driver's perspective. Gassed it back up a little bit. Then a couple drivers in front of him actually missed pit lane.
Yeah, we're going to try to see back who that was. But, yeah, we didn't really talk about it enough. But pit road entry here, it's pretty treacherous. In some leagues, they've just asked people, that was Alexander Van de Sant that used pit road.
97 car, yeah. Here's another look at it.
Yeah, this pit road entry is really tricky. A lot of leagues will just have you come in 3 and 4 just to kind of avoid a situation where you block the traffic coming out of turn 4. But Van de Sant completely missed it. That's going to cost him a lot of time.
Yeah, got down to pit lane that time through as Pablo Diaz cycles back to the lead. 1.8 seconds now clear of Andreas Syke. Andrew Wood third, Brophy and Stouffer the rest of the top 5. Motegi picks up a spot in the pit lane. And Alexis Newsom picked up a couple spots in pit lane. She's up to 7th. And that is all due to a pit stop that was 7.9 seconds long, which was shorter than everybody except for Jason Brophy's time. So that was a very quick stop by the Newsom crew.
Yeah, he just had the shortest amount of time on pit lane by about a second or so. And I mean, hey, that adds up, as you mentioned. It all adds up in the end. So great job for her down on pit lane. But as you mentioned, Pablo Diaz, number 22 car out there dominating, led every single lap in this race, if I'm not mistaken. Actually, correction, we just had a pit stop sequence.
Yes,
but
37 of the 42, so all but 5, and all those 5 were from the pit stop sequence. Also, 2 of the top 3 are not American drivers, where the rest of the field is American, save for Forsyth, Altina, and I think there's one other Canadian here in the field. So it's been a pretty busy day up front for a couple of the drivers, like Alexis Newsom, who continues to charge forward. Her lap times last time by were 2/10 quicker than Pablo Diaz. So the 63 going the right direction, and has Robert Motegi, the next driver on the chopping block. And this is, again, your points leader, won 2 of the first 3 races of the season and was competitive back at Road America. It was just a strategic mishap that put them back, Finney. And think if they had been on the right strategy at Road America, they could have been 3 for 3.
Yeah, they really could have been. And from Motegi, you'll see if he can make it 3 or 4. If he can get that car up to the front, it's going to be an uphill battle. He's definitely fighting the best drivers in the field now. Worked through some of the traffic early on, but now he's kind of hit a wall here. We'll see what he can do. And also just to mention an update on Van de Sant, how much that pit road penalty cost him. From running in 5th place before the green flag pit stops, he's down in 22nd. Dead last of the people running as the yellow flag is out.
That's David Adams and Chris Fowler in turn 4, and Fowler's got big-time damage on that car. So our first caution waves at lap number 46 for the 00 and the 20. Here's how it happened. 20 car again on the apron. Oh, he's 00, just an innocent victim there.
Yeah, and Adams just can't catch a break. We saw what happened to him in Iowa. He hit the wall, lap 1 completely ruined the rest of his race, although he was able to continue running. But for this, Fowler just clips the apron. Second time we see him do it, then Adams hard into the wall. Both of those cars are going to definitely be over for them.
Yeah, nothing David Adams could have done at that point. I think he was committed. Here's his onboard. The 20 car was really low and slow, and I'm not really sure. Is he trying to hit pit lane again? Maybe he's trying to conserve a penalty?
Oh, I'm not sure. I don't think you got any penalty. I wasn't hearing anything on the radio.
Watch this line he takes here. Maybe defending from Kehoe in the 57, but still very, very low, very, very slow.
Yeah.
And then
recall that he was pitting in now I'm looking at it, but I don't think he said why he was, but.
Oh. Well, that's it for those two. Both those cars are destroyed. As we come back to the fourth round of the Indy Elite Series. Pit stops had just happened. Do we come on down? Looks like, for the most part, everyone's staying on track. Don't know if the pits are open quite yet.
Yeah, I think, let's see. Oh, no, they're open. Just a lot of leaders elected not to take it.
Yeah, it looks like almost everybody elected not to come. There's a couple of drivers on pit lane. Tony Schowen. Looks like AJ Musselman is one of them. Joe Branch, Dan Ench, and Jacob Oster in the 09. Again, this is a driver that really has not fully reached the potential I would have expected based on how fast he was at Michigan. That car was blazingly fast and wasn't really in winning contention at the end of that race. But now rides in 15th after starting in 13th. It's just sort of been an okay day for that 09 car.
Yeah, curious to see if maybe him pitting, no, again, I mean, it's not really the tires really are the problem, but I'm going to throw fresh Firestones out there and see what he can do. I think I'm curious to see if this extra fuel is going to help out getting these drivers back here.
Well, he did have a third at Iowa, so short tracks have gone well. He placed okay at Road America, but that first crash at Michigan has buried him down the points order just a little bit. So we are approaching the 1/3 mark of this race, and Pablo Diaz has had a death grip on the front of this field. Andreas Eich has been right with him. Does anybody have anything for these two? They've just been running away.
It's looking like not at the moment. I mean, I would say maybe Andrew Wood or Jason Brophy could have something. I imagine they figured out their cars, maybe made small tweaks here and there to the anti-roll bars, to the weight jacker, even down pit lane, maybe making more adjustments to the wing. We'll see what they can do here when we go back to ring. Maybe if they have dialed in their car a little bit more after pretty much an entire green flag run under their belts, and see they have more of a challenge for Ike and Diaz on this upcoming restart.
So continuing to run under yellow after a crash involving Chris Fowler and David Adams. Fowler coming to pit lane, clipped the apron, and spun up in front of the 00 of David Adams. That will make now 4 drivers retired from this race. Wayne Hunter quietly left the racetrack about 17 laps ago.
Yeah, actually an update about Fowler on that. It did look like he did say he was coming down to pit lane due to damage. Although I don't really, I was trying to look and see where he hit the wall, but it didn't look like he really hit anywhere. Oh, actually, looking back, that same lap he ended up touching the wall on entry of turn number 1. It didn't look like it was anything too severe, which is why I didn't think he had anything on him, but that's what caused him to make the decision to pit.
Interesting. It was definitely a weird one. He just was kind of straddling that apron, and as we know, that's a poor place to be in an Indy car that is so low to the ground. Here's an interesting note. When you go full course caution on the oval, the lights on the road course light up. That's an interesting factoid. I didn't know until now.
Yeah, I guess that probably opens the Ulster like a Daytona.
Also, fans crammed on the hillsides at the road course. And
I can't imagine the view from there is particularly good.
No, probably not. Look at our race recap here so far. 101 laps left in this race. We've had 1 caution for 4 laps, 3 leaders, and 4 lead changes. The majority of that lead has been Pablo Diaz in the number 22, who has led all but 5. And think back to Michigan. He placed very, very high in that number 22. I think he could be a force to be reckoned with on these larger ovals. And Andreas Eich in the 76, maybe a bit of vivid memory from last season when he just kept getting beat by 1 or 2 other cars all season long. I'm sure he would love nothing more than to get ahead of this 22 and get by him to go win.
Yeah, especially because, he's got a great shot of making up points on Motegi, who has been given kind of a chance to get back in this race a little bit more. Running back in 6th place, see if he can climb any more positions with everyone stacked them together. And as you mentioned, Ike trying to regain the lead after he lost it on the initial start. We'll see if he's got anything for the number 22 as we're just about to go green.
Moving up a lane up above Pablo Diaz, and Diaz is not covering. Does he have the experience on the oval to come cover that outside for the green flag as we come back to racing? Green flag back in the air here at Twin Ring Motegi, and it's Diaz, Ike, Wood, your top 3 as we go back to green.
Yeah, everyone's snaking down the front straightaway, trying to get the slipstream off in the turn when they go. Diaz already setting off, and Ike having to worry about Andrew Wood. He got a pretty decent start in his mirrors.
A good restart for the 22. Again, not exactly sure how much oval experience he has had here in this series. Again, new to us this season, but showing us that he is definitely no rookie at the restarts, at least. Here's Oster, Shawan, and Julian Altina in the 71, all scrapping here for about 13th place.
And again, these restarts, everyone's going to get really aggressive. They know this is one of the best chances for them to make up places on this restart.
Look at Oster, the huge run he got on the outside. He's going to squeeze up to the outside of Altina at the exit of turn 2.
And Altina didn't come up to clear, so Oster going to take advantage. A huge head of steam heading off into turn number 3. Going to rip around that outside lane. Should be able to clear off in turn number 4.
Here's Joe Branch of the 28, still side by side with Tony Shawan behind as Altina tucks in behind Oster. Shawan pulls forward with the draft. Branch will tuck in behind Tony Shawan's number 31. Up in 5th place, Stouffer and Robert Malechka. Malechka looking for 5th. This would be the highest he's run so far if he can complete this pass on the bottom of 3 and 4.
Yeah, gonna be easier said than done. We'll see how much of a fight Stouffer's going to put up. Stouffer keeping that 91 pin down on the bottom lane, and we'll rip around the outside to clear him.
Into turn 1, Stouffer hangs onto the spot, but Malechka relentlessly dives to the bottom of the racetrack. And again, it was his long run pace we were impressed with before, but he's looking very racy after the restart. Stouffer almost tags the wall.
Yeah, that was pretty much millimeters there between Stouffer and the outside wall. As you see, Malechka really fighting for everything he can do to try to move up one more spot. But he's got to worry now. Newsom coming in at him very quickly.
Yeah, Alexis Newsom's had a fantastic run today, continues to impress. Always on the offensive so far in this race. Been very, very impressed with that performance. In 7th right now, that number 63. We go back, here's Joe Branch and Shawan. Branch goes the long way around in turns 1 and 2 and completes that pass. AJ Musselman maybe smelling blood in the water with these drivers fighting ahead. But there's also Alexander Van de Sant in the number 97, who's now still a lap down in that 97, so that could trap him there for the rest of the race. We've not had a lot of yellows, so that one little mistake that Van de Sant made not getting to pit lane is going to cost him a whole lot of points by the end of this race.
Remember, we're going off of IndyCar rules, not NASCAR rules, so no lucky dogs. So he's got to fight for his lap back. I think really his best chance of getting it back is hoping that everyone goes off sequence for maybe another. He came in and pit under that last caution and got a little bit extra fuel, so got to hope that a caution comes out when everyone will lead to come and pit. And Newsom still working on the back of Malechka, trying to build up a run. We've seen her work on it a few laps and usually able to prevail. Yeah,
Malechka, it was all over the back of the 13 of Stouffer, but has since kind of fallen off and is now in defense mode on the number 63. He's lost half a second to Stouffer up the road and now has all the focus in the left side mirror, watching that blue, white, and red number 63 right behind. And Craig Forsyth, Jacob Oster, this is for 12th. Oster again, whoa, swings off of turn 4. He's been stuck back here outside of the top 10 all day. I'm sure he'd love to get Forsyth and a couple other drivers up the road to go by.
I think restarted back in 15th or just about around there. He's moved up very quickly through the order, trying to see if he can get one more spot, fighting with Forsyth. Gonna have a run and a look to the inside into turn number 3.
Oh, bails out a little early. 27 carries a lot more speed. We'll keep the spot for now.
Oh, and a hit to the wall and a decent one too.
Let's go back and take a look at that through 3 and 4.
Yeah, that was a meaty hit. I'm not sure how to see to that car to see as it runs another lap or two. But thought again, this is that thing. He thought he can throttle up. You heard him get out of the gas, and he thought maybe I can stick in it just a little bit longer.
Oh no, it's costing him a lot of time. He's lost the spot to Shawan, and Joe Branch and others are coming. I didn't even see that. We were on the blimp cam watching it, and it was hard to even tell that he hit the wall. But going back on the onboard, he definitely pancaked it pretty hard. And I don't see a lot of damage to this car, but he's definitely feeling it.
Yeah, he might have gotten away with murder, but as mentioned, I think he's definitely feeling it, and over the long run, it's not going to be ideal. He's definitely going to want to come down and fix it next time we get a yellow, but at the moment, it looks at least quote-unquote drivable.
Well, he lost almost 0.6 of a second last lap, that 0.4 that time through, so it's hurting him a lot. It's just a matter of is it worth it to come pit now or just prolong your time on the track and hope someone else crashes before you do at this point. But we have not seen a lot of yellows today. It has not been extremely racy. It's been challenging to make passes today and also challenging to even get side by side. So the chances for yellows are pretty low. I'd be worried if I was driving that number 09.
And we were talking about earlier if anyone had anything for Pablo Diaz, and pretty much no, because he just took off like a rocket ship, and no one was able to catch him since the drop of the green flag for the restart.
Yeah, just cruising right now on autopilot, consistently running some of the best laps of anybody on the track. Andreas Ike was a hair quicker last time by, but only by 1/100th of a second, and he's 1.2 seconds back. Ike, again, having flashbacks to last season when he was just short of being the best driver in the field every single week. And it seems to be someone different every week this year. It's not just one character, but it's got to be frustrating for that 76.
Yeah, it really does at one point, just because he's been so close so many times. I mean, it's unfortunate because he's one of the fastest drivers in the league, but he never is the fastest on any particular weekend, which is great. Again, he's really consistent, but not getting the top points that he needs to really build up a solid lead in the championship. Again, at the moment, he's still happy that he's at least ahead of Motegi, though I'm not entirely sure how much longer that's going to last, because we know that 91 very quick.
Yeah, Andreas right now is second in the points, and his finishes so far this season have been 8th, 2nd, and 3rd, which is certainly not slouching in comparison to anybody else. The only driver that he's finished worse than is the points leader, Robert Motegi, who's finished first, and 6th, who has a totally different sort of season going for him. Here's Julian Altena and Jacob Oster again. That 09 struggling with some right side suspension damage sustained at that turn 4 wall collision. That was one of your keys to the race earlier, Finney, was that Calamity Corner. That was turn 4 that we wanted to talk about, how challenging it is and how it just reaches out and grabs you when you're not even expecting it.
Yeah, I've had experience with that wall. He gets very close to it yet again. And many IndyCar drivers have. It's a learning experience, trying to learn where the limit of adhesion is coming out of turn number 4 and how much throttle you can put in. Unfortunately for Oster, caught him out. He's lucky that car is drivable. Many times he'll just knock out the wheels and your day is done. But car is, again, as mentioned, drivable, but not exactly raceable as he's dropping down the order back to 17.
Well, I will say that while Diaz has been the dominant force so far, Andreas Ike is beginning to whittle away that lead a couple hundredths at a time. Last time by, it was a 27.439, which is only about a 10th off of his best time of the race. So he's giving it all he can. And it's 1.18 now, the gap between Diaz and Ike. Whittling away, and we are now about 31 laps into this run, so pit stops expected soon.
Yeah, it's all about getting into that range I was talking about 0.7 of a second to about a second. That bubble where you're really going to start feeling that dirty air. If you can break that, he'll have a shot, but at the moment it just doesn't look like his car is able to really follow in behind that 22.
Very even gaps around this racetrack because of how the aerodynamics kind of mess with the drivers racing around. We should also mention Evan Adams in this 59, running 10th right now after starting back in 16th. This is a great run for the 59 car, Finian.
Yeah, absolutely. Currently one of the biggest movers, one of the bigger movers, just the biggest mover is currently Craig Forsyth, started back in 20 up to 12, but Evan Adams from 16 to 10, really good run for him. We'll see if he can try to extend that. He's got to worry about Charles Anthony behind, who's catching a big run. You can see Anthony appearing in the picture off of turn number 4.
Yeah, that 86 car and his first race of the season and running Evan Adams down. But Adams again in that 59 has been rock solid to start this race. Has moved forward consistently. A couple drivers I would have expected to see more out of today. Tony Schauwen in the 31 is stuck in 13th, and Joe Branch in the 28 down in 14th place. Has not struck gold on the setup this week, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely not. Looks like it's been a bit of a struggle. Currently sitting 4th in the points, 78 points back from Robert Motegi.
Not a bad spot to be on the season, though, right? I mean, he's had a pretty good season so far, but this is why it's a little bit surprising that he's back this far.
Yeah, I mean, worst finish. I mean, on the oval side of things, he finished 5th at Iowa, 9th in Michigan. Worst finish was 13th at Road America, but again, you can kind of throw that out, being a completely different type of track. So for Branch to be back this far on oval is a bit surprising, though currently trying to work on Tony Schauen in 31 directly ahead of them, and then Craig Forsyth just up the road.
So approaching halfway in a couple of laps and approaching our second pit stop sequence of the day, second green flag stop sequence. Not a lot of drivers pit under that caution. Schauen, Branch, Musselman, Ench, Oster, Van de Sant, Downing, and Adams pit. But everybody in the top 12 and Julian Altena stayed out on that caution sequence. They would be expected to come to pit lane in the next 5 to 10 laps.
I was going to say just about 5 to 10 laps when they should be coming in, and again with a little bit of a split in that strategy. I'm curious to see how it's going to affect it. I don't expect too much to change, but we'll have to see.
Here comes Ante to the inside of Evan Adams. This is a battle for 10th.
Both these guys giving each other more than enough room to work with. Don't need a 2 ovals out at this point in the race, and Ante looks like he's going to take it at the moment. Evan Adams trying to get a great run, though, diving down in turn 1 and coming off for turn number 2, but he's going to back off, play a little bit more cautiously.
David Adams is back on the racetrack. This is another one of those days, just like Iowa, where he was fighting an uphill battle, and currently 6 laps down. And even the more frustrating thing is there's been such a lack of attrition. I don't really see him gaining a lot of spots unless we have a couple big wrecks from here on out. So hoping that he can still enjoy himself. It's been a rough start to the season for sure. Always climbing the hill and not getting to ride down every once in a while.
Yeah, I think rough start to the season, understatement. Again, after what happened at Iowa, immediately was taken out of contention. And then here, I was running pretty well. I was running just in around, I think, 10th place when that incident happened. So we'll see what he can change for here. John Downing, his teammate, going to pass him in 20th. Downing also struggling a little bit at 1 lap down.
Here is Alexander Van de Sant, the other driver that's 1 lap down in the 97. This is all because of missing that pit box, or missing the pit lane, I should mention, out of turn 4 as we pass the halfway point of this race. And now we should be expecting cars on pit lane. Maybe a little bit longer because of the caution extending the range of these cars just a touch, but they should be coming down any minute now.
Yeah, I still haven't heard any word, but as mentioned, should be shortly. And Diaz has been able to, we saw I get within about a second of the 22 cars, now stretched to about 1.6 seconds. So Diaz has been trying to extend his lead out, kind of more or less what we saw just before the first caution, the gap between the race leaders.
Using up the tires, Julian Altena is going to peel off and he'll hit pit lane. Whoa, he's crashed.
He will literally hit pit lane as he hit the pit road wall.
That's not what they mean by hit pit lane. Pablo Diaz comes to pit road. And here's a look at it. Just gets up and just a little late and then locks the rears up and just grinds the front end like Tony Hawk on that concrete wall.
Here's the damages to the car. If he just hit the wing, I think he kind of dented in the right front. No, actually looks like he'll be able to get back out, so might have gotten away with it.
Here is your leader, Pablo Diaz, on pit lane in the number 22. Late qualifying effort, jumped all the way to second. He has led almost every single lap this race. Andreas Eich, who started on pole, runs in second as he comes on down to pit road, and he is chasing that race leader in the 22. So now it comes down to who pits a little bit quicker than the other, and Pablo Diaz an 8.2 second stop. There's certainly time for the 76 to beat on pit lane as he enters his box.
He's entering in. Jason Brophy also coming down. This time Andrew Wood staying out just to lead another lap.
And out goes Ike, an 8.5 second stop, not what he was looking for, as Diaz is going to blow right around the outside of 1 and 2. Chris Cahill and a whole bunch of others on pit lane. It's a busy place at the moment. Christopher is also in.
Yeah, there's Jason Brophy. Should be coming out of his box soon.
Brophy, a 7.9 second stop. That's a pretty quick run for him.
I was worried for a sec. I thought I saw the jacks dropping him stationary. Thought he got another pit road penalty, and we saw him get a lot of them in Michigan. I'm sure he's learned to be a little bit more cautious because he threw a very good raceway back at the season opener.
Matt Hollaba peels off into his box, and the cycle is almost complete. 3 drivers left: Andrew Wood, Newsom, and Forsythe in the 27. as here comes the 31 of Tony Schowen. Or excuse me, the 27 rather. Forsythe locks up the left front tire and makes his way down to the box.
Yeah, I think Wood trying to maximize that clean air, the clean air he's got. Not sure it's going to be enough to really overtake Andreas Ike, but he has been running faster. I was looking at his laps before the pit stop started and after. He's running almost about a 10th faster a lap, a little bit less than that.
He actually has the fastest lap of the race by 0.2 of a second. So he is really on a, not quite. Andreas Ike has a slightly faster lap, but he is right up there with the fastest cars on the racetrack. If he could just get some clean air fitting, he might be in good hands.
Yeah, let's see, and Val is finally going to come down to pit lane. Ooh, that was a little hot.
Yeah, really quick.
Drivers flirting with the road speed limit tonight.
Well, I think the challenge here is that you don't really get a lot of leeway. When you peel off pit lane and come in, once you hit the pit lane wall, you enter right here, and the line is right as you get to that pit wall. So you're coming out of turn 4, carrying ahead of steam, and you got to get woed down very, very quickly. You just don't have a lot of time to slow down in a straight line.
It was really curious to see if he got a speeding penalty. It was, I think, 5 miles an hour over. He did bleed off some, and backstrap, and away he goes. So was able to get away with it. Now, question is, where is he going to end up? I don't think he'll be in the race lead, but Pablo Diaz flies by him. Question is, where's Ike? Ike also just narrowly going to get ahead of him. So unfortunately for Wood, a little bit of a late exit off of the apron as well. Sorry, early exit.
Yeah, it was a really quick stop though. It was 0.4 faster than Pablo Diaz's stop, and 0.7 faster than Andreas Ike. So he did close in. The question is, does he have the pace now? And is anybody adjusting their car? Again, this is an open setup series. You have adjustment windows with that weight jacker fitting, and our drivers changing that throughout this race, especially with the changing weather, which has cooled off quite a bit.
Yeah, you'd have to be constantly trying to adjust to find any little bit extra performance. Like, you're not fighting the tires so much as you're fighting the aero wash, so maybe some wing adjustments. That's really where the open setups come in, and you see Van de Sande almost trying to do some bump drafting on the back of Oliva, heading down into turn number 3.
Now this is the battle for 13th and the battle for to be the first driver 1 lap down, which doesn't do you any good. But these drivers are fighting for position, Van de Sande and Oliva.
Yeah, Van de Sande waiting for Tony Schowen to come down so he can be unlapped. Schowen's, I think, 2-3 cars up the road from him. So after Schowen pits, he'll be on the lead lap before he'll have to come down, which is very soon for a lot of these guys.
Jacob Oster. Whoa!
Whoa!
Wow, haven't seen that situation happen before. Just too hot into the box. And he's going to have a really hard time getting lined up again now.
Oh, yeah.
That was absolutely catastrophic for the run that he was having today. Here's another look at it.
Yeah, already has damage to the right side of the car. And, yeah, didn't quite need that. The ironic thing, I guess, is that in real life they would have been able to service that.
Yeah, that's the frustrating part about it. Sometimes tracks are a little bit sensitive about how the car is positioned in the box, but that's going to cost Oster a ton of time and will certainly put him at least a lap, maybe 2 down at this point. Musselman hits pit lane, and we're almost done with our cycle. As Pablo Diaz and Andreas Ike should cycle back once they get by Dan Ench, who's still on the racetrack. But Ike is closer. He's half a second back. As close as, ooh, big bump there, middle of the corner. This is the closest he's been.
Yeah, there's a really nasty bump on the inside of turns, really turn more so turn 1. Yeah, the long guy send the car up the track. But yeah, Ike, I'm curious to see if he can use himself being a little bit closer. And it actually looks like Pablo Diaz is actually being held up by Julian Altena up ahead. So Pablo Diaz has been able to really take advantage of a lot of clean air. Doesn't have that advantage for probably one of the first times this race. So now Ike's got a huge chance in getting the lead here.
Yeah, Ike had to do a big lift in the middle of 2, though, when he hit that bump. But Dan Ench leads this race. Pablo Diaz in behind Julian Altena, who I think has already has he made his pit stop yet? He made it about 13 laps ago. So
yeah, he's good.
Yeah, so that car is not going to pit anytime soon, and that means Ike, this is his chance to strike. He's not faster than the 22, not fast enough, I should say, to get by him under normal conditions. He's got to strike while the iron is hot here, but he's also got Wood behind him keeping pressure on. This is their chance to strike. We got under 60 laps to go. That might sound like a lot, but if Pablo Diaz gets clean air again, I think it's game over.
Yeah, let's see here what's going to happen. Diaz trying to find something to work with here, but Wood and Ike have both closed up on his rear wing. The three-way battle for the lead here, and what we're thinking is going to be an easy night for Diaz is looking to be very interesting. Wood trying to go from the outside in. Ike washing up a little bit out of the corner. Here comes Wood with a great run out of turn number 2. Not enough, though, to make a move.
He's sitting on it for now. I don't think he wanted to make a low percentage move. He's going to wait for a better opportunity and wait to be further alongside before diving. I like that self-preservation at this point in the race for Andrew Wood. I think he thinks he's in a good spot. He sees Diaz stuck behind that lap traffic.
And also Robert Malechka, great job on the pit sequence, moving up into 4th place and closing in on our leaders. Never can count this man out.
It's been such slow progress today, but it's been progress nonetheless. No big gains for him, just little by little by little. And he's put himself inside the top 5, starting all the way back in 12th. We didn't think he'd be much of a factor. I mean, we knew he'd be good, but now he's really good.
Wood dive to the inside, heading off into turn number 1, looking to see if he can get the spot done up ahead. Diaz trying to work around the lap car. Well, tonight he's got a great run, so Diaz looking like he might get some clean air here.
Here comes Diaz to the inside of Julian Altena, and can he clear him? This is going to be critical. If he can't clear him, this is going to hold him up a ton, and he does. So Diaz is through. Andrew Wood now rides in 2nd. Altena fighting to try to stay on that lead lap, but he's just not going to have anything for it. And this is now where Wood and Ike are going to have to figure it out because they are quickly going to lose ground to Pablo Diaz.
And teammates again, Andrew Wood and Ike, so a little bit of a switch of position there for them.
Whichever one they feel is stronger, and at this moment it appears to be that 64.
I think Ike's going to probably wish Wood best of luck here. Altena, curious to see if he's going to put up any more fight. I don't think he's going to. If he's going to give the lane to Wood, it seems just kind of running his own on the inside.
Not going to make it incredibly easy, that's for sure. About a second back, they've lost about half a second. But if Wood can clear, there he goes to the inside. If he can clear up on the 71 at the exit of corner 4, he might still have a chance to run down Diaz. But again, there he goes. But closing in on 50 to go. One more pit stop to end this race at about 30 laps or so. But who is going to beat Pablo Diaz so far? No one has had the pace to run him down and pass him.
Yeah, what I am curious to see is that these guys are catching up on AJ Musselman up ahead. He's about, I think, let's see, a corner or 2 up the road from Diaz. So that's going to be the next lap car they're going to catch. So as they catch more and more lap traffic, that's really going to hold up Diaz, and we saw him take quite a while to work on Altena. So the more this race goes green, I think the best case scenario for Diaz is that we get another caution, bunch of everyone back up, and he's got clean air to work with for pretty much the remainder of this race. Everyone else is going to be hoping this goes green because the more lap cars they catch, the more chances they have to see Malechka make an aggressive
there's a touch
move. Oh, and a touch to Altena, sending him up towards the wall.
Hip check there, and Malechka's through. He's also in hot pursuit of Andreas Ike and has Jason Brophy in behind, so he's feeling the urgency. But is there damage to the number 91? Didn't appear like it was a vicious impact, but as we saw with the 20 car earlier, even a little touch can put you in big trouble.
Yeah, you saw him, Malechka, again, wasting no time, as you mentioned. He knows time is of the essence. Don't want to waste any time, especially when he has a chance, especially his main competitor at the moment in the championship is right up the road, Andreas Ike, in 3rd place.
Yeah, Malechka, again, if he could get on the podium, this would be a really big day because their qualifying effort put him solidly midfield to finish up at the front. Solidly on the podium would be a great day and a great way to keep the majority of their points lead. Here's Charles Ante. This is getting racy on the front straight.
Yeah, Craig Forsyth had when drifting, I know we're in Japan, he went drifting through turns 3 and 4.
Have a look. Bottled everybody up here. Right there, big slide. Great save, but right there, Ante to the bottom. Ooh. Everybody scatters.
Yeah, might have just gone a little bit too much on the weight jacker there to throw the car out.
So Pablo Diaz's lead is still 1.1 seconds. Dan Ench slow into turn 3, battling Julian Altena. This is for position. Altena really slow.
Yeah, and Ench gets by really quickly. I'm not sure if that's Altena just struggling or if he did get any damage with the contact with Malechka. I don't think that really did anything for him. I think he's just kind of struggling with the car at the moment in these conditions, which we should mention, its track temp is 86 degrees, down, I think, from what, 94 when we started, so down 8 degrees.
Yeah, it's definitely been dropping significantly. What else is dropping significantly is that lead. It's down a 10th. Andrew Wood is beginning to reel in Pablo Diaz, and this is critical because there is lap traffic up the road. The 22 car leading has the 54 of AJ Musselman entering turn 3 right now, and now Diaz is entering, so it's only a couple of seconds between the race leader and the next bit of traffic that could hold him up. And Andrew Wood is keeping Diaz honest here.
Yeah, he's going to start feeling that very early, Diaz, that narrow wash. So as soon as he gets anywhere near Musselman, that's going to start hurting him. And that's where we know that Wood's probably going to be able to strike, because Wood's car looks really good in traffic. And by comparison, Diaz's car does not look that good when falling on it.
How close were they last time? By 4 thousandths between Diaz and Wood. Give the advantage to the 64. A little bit quicker. But that's right now, he's 1 second back. As soon as Diaz hits that dirty air, that 1 second gap is going to be 0.3 of a second, and then you're in striking distance. And it's just a matter of how quickly the 22 can dispatch that traffic. And it's not just AJ Musselman. He's got Evan Adams just up the road, who's dropped a couple spots on that since that pit stop. And then Forsythe and Ante are not too far beyond that. So they're going to hit at least a couple more of these cars before the next pit stop.
And speaking of which, these guys actually about to do some battling here. Musselman catching up to Adams, so that's going to be the worst case scenario for Diaz, catching not only just lap cars, but 2 lap cars that are battling for position.
And no compulsory blue flags. They'll be waving, but there's no expectation that you have to do anything different. But Musselman should make pretty short work of Evan Adams. He must have hit the wall because he was running up solidly inside the top 10 and is now dropping the pace off by about 6 or 7 tenths of a second in that 59.
Trying to rip the outside lane, trying to keep Musselman honest. Going to try to pin him, maybe try to pin him down on the inside lane, but Adams has been running the top lane, kind of running his own race, it seems.
But here come those 2 guys battling for 14th. And here in shot is Pablo Diaz, the race leader. So it's going to get very interesting very quickly. 7 tenths of a second, the lead. It's coming down still. 6 tenths now.
Yeah, it's crazy to think he's catching him, and they haven't even caught the lap traffic yet. So this is looking really good for Wood. Again, it's a matter of can he keep his pace up.
Even being held up for a corner is going to cost Diaz a ton of time. Evan Adams might make this easy, but AJ Musselman might not. 3 tenths between them. I think all Pablo can hope is that they continue to run decent laps and that they can get to that next pit stop. Can he pit yet? He's still 40. Well, actually, we're almost in the pit window here, Finney. Do you think Diaz will try to hit pit lane early and try to avoid this traffic?
I would try to do that as much as possible. I mean, it's kind of a catch-22 for him. You can try to pit, but then Wood's also going to get a little bit of clean air to work with.
Catch-22, that's what they're all trying to do, Finney.
Yeah, no, it's just, he's kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't for Pablo Diaz, because you can try to pit, but then Wood's got some clean air to work with. Like, you try to stay out, and then Wood can just kind of undercut him and then try to work it out on his own. So, a bit of an unknown. I think he's going to try to just stick out and work with it and kind of hope for the best here. He's not really too many options at his disposal.
I would think that the advantage of the clean air for Andrew Wood would be negated pretty quickly by catching the same traffic that Diaz is going to catch. And I think the move here is to come to pit lane. And you can go all the way to the end on 1 tank of fuel without saving basically now. And he is within a couple seconds of those 3 cars ahead of him. I would hit pit lane very, very shortly. And if Diaz doesn't, Wood should. Try to do the undercut, avoid the traffic, get to pit lane, take your final fuel stop, and get back out. And then you're pitting around everyone else that is stopping, and they're not going to be in your way because they're already going to be hitting pit lane. So I think the move is pit now. Somebody's going to do it. If they don't, they're going to get stuck in traffic.
Yeah, also catching up on David Adams here. He's just kind of running out here, hoping to pick up the scraps. Not too many for him to pick up because ever since that big wreck with Adams and Fowler, no one's retired from this race, so Adams still running in 21st.
So here comes Diaz. He'll make pretty short work of the blue car. 34 laps ago was his last pit stop. He's going to stay out this time through. Does anybody behind him pit? Andreas Ike hits pit lane. Here he comes to the inside, and Motegi squeaks by, but Ike hits pit lane, avoiding the traffic. He's in his window. He's going to try the undercut. Meanwhile, Diaz is firmly in the arrow wake of the traffic ahead of him. Evan Adams just up the road. He might only have to dispose of the 59. I don't think he's going to get to the 54 before he's going to have to pit.
I think that's just going to have to hope for. We're going to see what Adams is going to do. He's going to pull it away. It looks like Adams is kind of running his own race. Which
Wood's hitting pit lane.
Oh, okay. So this is what we're talking about. So Wood, and the thing with Wood, he didn't have to. Diaz had to pit before Wood because Wood stayed out a lot longer on the second on the run we had prior. And I think I heard the 22 Diaz. He's calling that he's pitting this lap.
Well, he just got by the 59. It didn't look like he lost a whole lot of ground, so he might have gotten away with it there. But coming to pit road this time through, is he going to stay out? He will.
Sorry, I think I misheard that. I think he was saying thank you. I couldn't quite hear what he was. I think he was telling Evan Adams thank you.
All right. So Andreas Ike is back out on the racetrack. An 8-second pit stop for the 76. That was a pretty solid time. Where is Andrew Wood going to pop out? Here he is. Is Andrew Wood going to lose a spot to Andreas Ike?
No, I think he's definitely good.
Wow, clears the 76.
Pablo Diaz coming in this time by locking him up and sliding down a pit lane. He got it slowed in time, but wow, that was dramatic to say the least.
Well, he's gotten it locked down and slowed down, but was it enough? With the undercut there, will Andrew Wood be the one? Andrew Wood's pit stop was 7.9 seconds. That's about as quick as we've seen anybody have. Joe Branch has had a 7.8 second stop today, but Diaz is in. Up on the jacks. 7.9 is what he's shooting for, and it's a long stop, 8.7. That's going to be critical because where is Andrew Wood? Here he comes down the front straight. I think he's going to do it. Diaz launches off the pit lane, and here comes that 64. Not this car, but the next one. Andrew Wood is close.
Oh, man, race is on here. Just about 30 laps to go. And there comes Andrew Wood rocketing out of turn number 2. A head full of steam, not quite able to get there, but they're close, and they got a car just up. They got some traffic. Alexis Newsom just up the road.
Andrew Wood now 7/10 back. Motegi hits pit lane now from what I think is 4th place. Comes on down. Andrew Wood not quite able. I thought he was going to do it. He had such a huge head of steam. But Diaz did such a great job getting off of pit lane and now has some traffic to contend with. And make no mistake, I think the 22 is the best car out here by a huge margin. But does he have the skill to navigate through traffic in the last 30 laps of this race and not get held up?
You'll have to see here. Newsom up ahead. The current race leader is yet to come down to pit lane. Expect her doing about 3 to 5 laps.
It's a crucial number. The longer she spends out on the racetrack, the more it could potentially hold up the 22. But Wood is not closing at the moment. He needs to be taking advantage of this as Diaz dives underneath the 00 of David Adams.
There you see Wood in the frame there, car chasing.
Halaba on pit lane, Ante as well.
I also have to mention too on that pit stop sequence, it looks like Mleczko was able to get ahead of Andreas Ike, so Mleczko up into 3rd once this all sorts out.
And Ike was so strong, and it's all fallen apart the last 30 or 40 laps. I should say fallen apart. He still would end up being 4th, but again, you set a bar really high when you're Andreas Ike, and you're judged accordingly.
Yeah, I mean, again, considering the guys he is fighting with, especially the current points leader, who's finally just been able to get ahead of him after Ike having a slight advantage the entire race.
Under 30 laps to go. That's only about 13 minutes worth of racing. Diaz has a 1-second lead over Andrew Wood behind Alexis Newsom, and this is where that air is going to start affecting Diaz. But does Andrew Wood have anything for him? Look at the run he's got on Newsom. Sailing down the backstretch. If he gets there, she should make pretty short work, and Andrew Wood is not close enough. And Andrew Wood has to deal with the quickly charging Mleczka, who is right behind him.
Up Newsom finally down to pit lane. Diaz got a little bit of clean air, but there's still some lap traffic up ahead. Charles Ante and Craig Forsythe are the next cars that they're going to encounter.
Wood ate into the lead a little bit, 2/10 that time. It's about 9/10 of a second. Don't know if he's got enough.
I'm curious if Malechka's got enough. His car is looking pretty quick. I'm curious to see what would happen if these two exchange position.
Yeah, Malechka is certainly on the move. And now solidly in podium contention. And it's just a couple more tenths of a second up to get to Andrew Wood and finish second. But I think if Malechka sees Wood gaining, it might be wise to sit back and let them duke it out amongst themselves and maybe end up passing both of them. But I'm just not confident that the 64's got the pace. So does that quicken Malechka's necessity to get by the 64 and potentially go after the leader himself? Chauhan still out on the racetrack. Currently scored as the race leader, hoping for a yellow. That would be a fantastic situation for the 31 and the 54 of AJ Musselman, who continue to roll around the racetrack. We've only had one caution so far. That was for the 20. Clean. Yeah, for the 20 of Fowler and the 00 of David Adams colliding in turn 4. Had 6 leaders and 12 lead changes, but for the most part, it has been Spaniard Pablo Diaz in the 22 who has been the dominant force of the day. Has led out of 126 laps, 97 of them.
He's done a really solid job. He's going to say the most dominant driver of this race. I think it's honestly an understatement. No one's really been able to hold a candle. Up I hear a spin on the front straightaway.
Evan Adams.
And the yellow is out.
Wow.
Whoa.
That is absolutely critical for Chauhan because he and Musselman were running out of laps that they could stay on the racetrack. Meanwhile, Oster has also ended his race. That damage, I think, too much to continue. But Evan Adams in the 59. Here's a look at what happened. Oh, just had a little bit of slide and then overcorrected, locked him down. Everybody did a pretty good job avoiding. Sant squeezes by, Matt Holleba as well. And with that caution, that mixes things up a bunch because there's only 9 drivers on the lead lap, and that means that you can pit without a whole lot of penalty here.
Yeah, you can. Problem is I'm curious to see who's going to pit. Obviously, we know Chauhan and Musselman have to come down to pit lane.
I don't think tires are worth anything. I don't think tires are worth time.
Right.
I don't think you want to have old tires, but I don't think you need to come in if you just came in.
I actually hear Pablo Diaz burning the gas at the moment, full on the red limiter.
Yeah, trying to offload some fuel from his IR-18 to lighten up the load for the end of the race. The front 2 are going to hit pit road. And it looks like a couple others are going to follow. Everybody from Andreas Eich back, and that's a great move for Andreas Eich, Finney. He was not going to win the race doing what he was doing. So I like this decision to come on down. Brophy's going to follow, so will Stouffer.
Yeah, Newsom also electing, one of the drivers electing to stay out. So Diaz, Wood, Malechka, Newsom stay out. Tony Chauhan, Andreas Eich, Stouffer, Brophy, and Musselman all come in. And Van de Sant, very happy man. He'll be able to get back in the lead lap. However, he does need to pit. So he's going to basically have to... Actually, he might have to pit this time by because he's very close on fuel.
Well, it took him an entire race to make back the mistake that he had in just a split second. That's how critical it is to nail every decision that you make here in the Indy Elite Series. It is ruthless and competitive. If you make one mistake, no one's going to help you out and lift you back up. You got to do that all on your own. But for Pablo Diaz, at this point, he has been by far the best car out here today. He's nailed the restart. What does Andrew Wood have to do, or Robert Malechka for that matter? What do they have to do? Because we restart single file. It's not like you can just get a better run side by side in turn 1. You have to figure out how to pass him, and no one has done that under green flag conditions today.
Yeah, it's really a matter of whose car handles well, and this is an open setup series again, so some people set their car up to run a little bit cleaner, better in clean air, just speed missile. But problem is sometimes that it hurts the way the car handles in traffic. So you kind of have to manage those two different things, just being really quick out in front or being able to work through the back pretty easily. And drivers like Wood and Newsom, it looks like the car a little bit better at following than some of the other drivers. So I'm curious to see now that Wood's caught up to the back of Diaz, can do anything now with a little bit of a reset. He's only got 20 laps to do anything, though.
You're watching the Indy Elite Series on SimTV. Kyle Heyer and Finian D'Acuna bringing you the action for the 4th round of the season here from Twin Ring Motegi in Japan. Next up next week, February 6th, is going to be the great Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. I can't wait. Mid-Ohio has always been a fantastic show for the Indy Elite Series. It was just a couple of seasons ago that we had a drag race to the checkers and a winning margin of under 200ths of a second. It was a blast. I can't wait to go back to Mid-Ohio next week.
Yeah, it's funny because you don't normally think of photo finishes when you think of Mid-Ohio, but we managed to have one. As you mentioned a few seasons ago, that was a fantastic race. Curious to see if we'll get anything close to something like that. Even if it isn't a photo finish, it is a great track. It doesn't seem like a great track for racing, but it somehow usually manages to put on a show, and especially I can imagine you're going to see some great stuff with this group of guys. You already saw a fantastic road race at Road America.
I think there's a couple tracks that you associate different racing with. I think for Watkins Glen, it's IMSA and NASCAR. For Sonoma, I think you probably most people would think of either IndyCar or NASCAR. But when you think about Mid-Ohio, it's almost exclusively IndyCar that comes to mind, and it's because that track just plays so well to the IndyCar strengths. And it's just a fantastic road course. That is next up on the schedule. Following Mid-Ohio, we're going to take a week off. We'll be back for Kentucky the following week. Then it'll be Milwaukee the following week, the Milwaukee Mile, WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca, Texas, Gateway, Long Beach, and then our full-distance Indianapolis 500 on April 24th to wrap up the rest of the season. Finishing out the season with Texas, Gateway, Long Beach, and Indy. That is a phenomenal way to kick out the 2022 season.
Yeah, some great tracks line up in the later half. Have we actually done a IndyCar race on the reconfigured Kentucky?
I don't think so. Yeah. It's been a while since we've been to Kentucky in general. Less stock car racing here now than there was, but actually I should also mention on February 12th, the following week from Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course next weekend. The following weekend will be at Daytona International Speedway for the kickoff of the 2022 Outsider Racing League back on SimTV, and even better for this year. All right, time to go racing. Make that 19 laps to go. Pablo Diaz trying to hang on after leading the vast majority of this race. Andrew Wood right behind him. Green flag back in the air.
And a few drivers trying to get going. Malechka had to wait for Evan Adams, who didn't get a good start because Evan Adams stuck in position, no reset of positions for the lap cars, and Malechka wasn't too exactly happy of the slow getaway for the 59.
On the back straightaway now, everybody's scrambling for position, and here comes Andrew Wood behind Pablo Diaz. It's half a second through 3 and 4, but big understeer, big push behind him. Jason Brophy stuck in traffic. AJ Musselman Stouffer behind him. Andreas Eich just up the road. Andreas Eich is after just fresh out of a pit stop with fresh Firestones. He's going to dive to the inside and get by some of that lap traffic. Look at how much time he just gained on Showen, but he has to lift mid-corner.
Yeah, you got to be very careful. That wall calls up on you in a hurry. We talk mostly about turn 4 in that respect, but turn 2 can easily be a troublesome corner if you're not careful with the throttle input.
Ike to the bottom of Tony Showen up into 5th place. If he gains one more spot, this will be been a net gain for him. Alexis Newsom is in 4th in that 63. She has had a phenomenal day in her white, blue, and red IR18, but nobody has been able to contend with Pablo Diaz. Here's Cahill and Matt Hollaba battle for 10th.
Yeah, looking to see what these guys can do heading off into turn 3. Ooh, a big dive from Cahill in behind. Not quite able to roll with anything. Van de Sant still running on the track. Canada is just kind of hoping and praying for a caution because he's going to come down pit road in the next 5 laps.
Yeah, back on the lead lap finally, but when he pits, it would put him back a lap down. After all the effort he has done, that would certainly be frustrating. So he's definitely hoping for someone to get turned around and looped here. But again, the fight that everyone has been fighting today is not the competitors. It's been the aerodynamics on this IR18, a struggle to make passes. 15 laps to go, and Pablo Diaz still the man to beat. Van de Sant slow. He's hitting pit lane.
Yep, and his time on the lead lap has unfortunately come to an end. It's just really amazing. We were talking about it before. How just that little mistake, just missing that pit road entry. Didn't make a mistake down on there, just missed it, had to slow up a little bit too much, but cost him an entire lap, and he's been struggling to get it back since. But there you see the field rocking out of turn number 4. Diaz, Wood, Malechka, Newsom, Ike, your top 5, and really looked like pitting. Didn't really do a whole lot, as you see Brophy working the inside of KO.
That's Showen that they just got by, and Showen's going to try to cross him up at the exit at 2. But Brophy's car very consistent over the bumps. We didn't see his car take a leap We've seen Andreas Ike's car really get unsettled by that bump in turn 2, but not for the 88. Here's Andreas Ike on Alexis Newsom. Again, Ike on fresh Firestones, chasing that 63 car who has got older tires. And if Ike passes this car, this will have been a game for him. And he actually is faster than the leader at the moment. I just think he's going to run out of time.
Yeah, I was going to say, it looked like it took him just a little bit to get the tires warmed up and up in temperature. Now it looks like they're there.
Oh, he's in the wall.
Bear almost, he avoided it, got very close to it.
Man, he almost hit it as he's right behind Newsom into turn 3, getting the wake from that 63, but throttling him much better. He's understeering big time in turn 2, I've noticed. I've seen him and heard him lift almost every time he goes through there. Here he comes.
Yeah, I think it's because he's just trying to stay on throttle as much as humanly possible. Easily he's going to work to the inside of turn number 1 and 2. Newsom going to try to use that outside lane to her advantage. Down the back straightaway, drag race for both of them, but Ike not able to keep that momentum going on corner exit.
Newsom hangs on for now. 11 laps to go this time through. Ike trying to push to get by the 63 car. He's in the slipstream. And on the back straightaway.
It's a matter of really timing this pass, using the slipstream to your advantage. Has a big toe, has a little bit of a look, but can't quite do anything without full-on dive bombing with 63.
Now coming to 10 laps to go, Pablo Diaz has had nobody pass him under green today. And he is solidly out front by a full second. Far from over, though, if Andrew Wood gets a little lucky, or if just Diaz makes one mistake, that 64 is there to pounce. I just don't think he's got the pace to run him down and pass him.
He's going to have to hope for some kind of mistake out of the 22, but Diaz has been pretty much flawless the entire night, so a mistake at this point I think is pretty much out of the question.
Matt Holliba in 10th as Chris Cahill just behind him. You can see how you can feel the understeer in the wake, and again, this track seems to exemplify that so much because the banking isn't quite high enough to sustain you like it does at Texas, and you're carrying a lot of speed, so you just feel that wake so much more than you do at some of the other bigger tracks that we race on that have a lot more banking to hang onto you. You just have to lift. There's also not a lot of mechanical grip. The Japanese are well known for actually including shells in their aggregate in the asphalt, and because of that, surface grip levels are pretty low at Japanese racetracks, and that means that you're lifting out of the throttle a lot more, killing that momentum, and any aero issues you have just exemplifies that issue.
Working on 7 laps to go. Still real no change in form for Andrew Wood. Imagine how frustrating it is for him just kind of looking at the driver he's chasing up ahead and really nothing much he can do at this point of the race other than just kind of drive along and again just hope that the 22 makes a mistake. Looking at Andreas Ike now running in 5th, has not been able to work back around Alex Newsom.
There's another look at the weather. It's continued to cool off, and this is a great example that the tires, I thought that they would be not worth a whole lot, and I think this seems to be proving this. Again, Ike has just struggled. I think they help you a little bit. I think they help you a 10th or 2 over the course of a run. I just don't think that they're worth enough to overcome the aero deficit that you have followed. You can, again, see the push on Andreas Ike. The fresh Firestone's not going to do him any good as we hit 5 to go. Pablo Diaz in this number 22. This has been quite the race for him. He finished in 3rd at Michigan. And when we went out to Iowa, I don't think we saw him out at Iowa. No, this is only his second round of the season. So it seems like whenever this 22 shows, he is a force to be reckoned with. Here's Jason Brophy all over the back of Andreas Ike, who is just, wow. Brophy goes way high. And is this going to stick?
He's just trying to build up that momentum, but unfortunately it looks like there's not a whole lot left to be gained out there. Trying to rock around the outside, and I think he's kind of hoping that Ike's going to be struggling with that aero wash and he can take advantage of it, but hasn't been able to close that gap.
Down to 3 laps to go. Newsom still in 4th. This would be her best finish of the season. Newsom currently scored an 18th in the points. She's finished 30th at Michigan, involved in a collision there, 9th at Iowa, and 10th at Road America. This would be her third top 10 of the season and her first top 5 if she could finish right here as we hit 2 laps to go now. Matt Holliba and Chris Cahill down the front straightaway, bit of a swerve and a block here.
Everyone's getting really racy towards the end here. So close to the end, don't want to lose a spot now. Holliba trying to get that car to rotate, struggling with the wash up ahead. KO going to get an easy move to the inside, but can he keep it? Holliba trying to get the run on the back straightaway now.
Yeah, Holliba's going to try to strike back here, running out of laps to the inside in turn 3. Just ahead of them, Stouffer's going to hold up one of them. He goes to the bottom, and that's going to hold up Holliba. Big push here as Cahill goes the long way around, completes it. White flag in the air, one more lap around for Pablo Diaz. For the driver of the number 22 at Michigan, the first race of the season, he finished in 3rd. This time, his second round of the season will come out of turn number 4, and the Spaniard will take it in Japan. Pablo Diaz wins at Motegi.
Yeah, what a fantastic drive for him. Andrew Wood going to have to settle for 2nd place, and Robert Malechka, very quiet day.
Oh, Holliba in the wall.
Yeah, Malechka in the wall as well. I think that was after the flag, though. But for Holliba, as you mentioned before, the checkered flag hit the wall, just trying too hard on that outside lane. Unfortunately, going to cost him, I think, a spot or 2.
Well, he just lost one to Joe Branch there at the very end. He was just trying to do the video game move to drive up the racetrack and try to grab a spot.
Edwards.
Yeah, try to do the Carl Edwards. It didn't quite work for him, but race complete. He finishes in 12th. Hard-fought race. That just goes to show you how hard everyone was trying to make passes here today at Motegi. But Pablo Diaz out of Spain gets it done, and it was a dominant showing today. Led 119 of 150 laps. And burns it down. Oh, it's like he's been doing this a million times. Look at this.
I was going to say he's got some practice.
That is clear. Burns it down at Twin Ring Motegi. Right on the start-finish line. Underneath Barney the flagman. And let's have a look at our race results here at Twin Ring Motegi. Pablo Diaz gets it done in the 22. Andrew Wood in 2nd. That is Robert Malechka. Started in 12th. He had a great run, ended up in 3rd at the end of the day. That's a solid climb for the points leader.
And a very quiet day, too. Not really a whole lot of moves. He was making a few moves towards the end there, but nothing really too flash for the 91, but I'm sure he's going to absolutely take it. He's going to definitely expand his points lead over Andreas Ike, who ended up finishing back in 5th. Much to Ike's dismay, Brophy, Chowan, Musselman, Stouffer, and KO, your top 10.
Well, we're going to try to get a hold of Pablo and Andrew as well as Alexis Newsom if possible. We have talked plenty to Rob Malechka the last couple of weeks. I think we're going to try to get our 4th place runner as well. And we'll go through 11th through 20th now. Joe Branch comes home 11th. Matt Holliba in 12th. All the way to the end, smashes it into the wall to get to the end. Alexander Van de Sant, got a feel for him. He did end up finishing 1 lap down. That one little mistake he made early in the race cost him the rest of the race.
Yeah, absolutely, and I kind of feel gutted for him because it's such a small error, and we've seen many times in stock car series, many times the driver missed the pit lane entry. But, you know, there you have a lucky dog to get you back on the lead lap. Here you have nothing. You absolutely have to race for it back, and cost him dearly. Was again looking to be a top 5 car, was 5th at the moment of that mistake, ended up finishing back in 16th.
Well, let's move on now down to the next group of results here. These are the drivers that had days that they would like to forget. Jacob Oster, again, trouble after that contact with the wall. Chris Fowler out early along with the 0-0, but the 0-0 did make it the rest of the race, albeit 27 laps down. Wayne Hunter and Marshall Stanley out early. We have a couple drivers to talk to. The first up is going to be, we'll talk to Robert Malechka because he's here. Robert Malechka, points leader, finishes 3rd today at Twin Ring Motegi. Rob, so far this season, first, 6th, and now 3rd. Going to be a good day to maintain your points lead.
Yeah, firstly, I have to thank Hugo Olsen a ton. He worked his ass off on that setup, and it was a rocket ship. And the driver just didn't get it done in qualifying. But for the most part, pretty fun race. You know, was working my way through traffic. Got kind of difficult once I got up to 8th, but was able to undercut and overcut some guys, which is a bit odd, but you know, I'll take it. It worked in my favor. I guess I got unlucky on that last restart, but yeah, I'll take P3 with how the race started.
Well, off to a great start this season. We head to Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course next week. At Road America, had a really good showing. The strategy didn't quite work out in your favor. Did you learn anything at Road America that you think you can apply to Mid-Ohio next week?
Not really. I just know personally I'm not that great with the red alternate tires, which I believe Mid-Ohio, that's what we'll mostly be on for our stints there. But you know, once I think I said at Road America, if I can walk away with around the top 5, I'll be happy with that on most of these road courses. So that will be the goal for next week.
All right, Rob, hey, congratulations. We'll see you at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course a week from now for round number 5.
Yep, thank you guys. Have a good one.
Thank you. Andrew Wood finished in second in tonight's race at Motegi. He was 1.3 seconds back from Pablo Diaz and just could never quite get enough of a run to go run down that 22 car. Pablo was mighty fast. Andrew came home second place tonight. Take us through your climb, because you started third, dropped back a little bit, then clawed your way back forward. Take us through it.
Yeah, I had a bit of a slow get off there. I knew I was going to get back up to where I was, just trying to find the clean air a bit. So I got where I got there. Then it was a matter of just playing the fuel save game, trying my best to maximize my lap times while saving enough behind Andreas. Yeah, it's really tough to get any sort of closeness between the cars here based on the aero package. So we knew that it was going to be all down to pit strategy. So it was basically me just trying to go long and stay out the longest, which is what I accomplished. But then it flipped the other direction when we hit the lap traffic and couldn't get by them. So I tried to do the undercut on Pablo, and I almost had it, but I did get one lap car that I couldn't really take advantage of the speed on my outlap, and that I think made the difference. It could have not, but yeah, happy to be back talking to you for 2 weeks in a row now, so things are going in a good direction for me.
I was going to say 27th at Michigan, 13th at Iowa, 4th at Road America, and now 2nd here at Motegi. Something tells me that you're on an exponential climb to a win at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. How confident do you feel about next week?
Yeah, it's going to be tough for a win, but I'll be satisfied with another top 5 at Mid-Ohio. It's a tough track for me, so I'll need to put in a lot of time to see if I can get to a spot where I know I can get a good finish. Of course, a win would be nice. I didn't think I'd have a shot to win Road America, and next thing I knew, I was like 7 seconds ahead of the lead. So anything can happen. But, you know, obviously Van de Sant, Valeska, and Pinero, those guys are really quick. So let's see what happens.
We'll see what happens next week, Andrew. Thanks for talking to us. Congratulations. We'll see you at Mid-Ohio.
Yep, and thanks again for broadcasting, and yep, good job, guys.
Thanks, Andrew. We'll see you next week.
Later.
Pablo Diaz brings it home in victory lane. The Spaniard gets it done at Motegi. Pablo, congratulations. First win of the season in your second start. You led a whole bunch of laps. I count out of 150, you led 119. Take us through your climb. First of all, congratulations. And could anybody have beaten you tonight?
Good evening, guys. Thank you all. I'm really surprised that I win this, to be honest. I didn't expect that my pace was really good. Yeah, I didn't think that my setup wasn't that good, but I give it everything, to be honest. I was try hard in the qualifying to start in the top, because I knew that the overtaking was really hard. I managed to qualify in second position and overtake Andreas in the first lap, and then I go flat out to the end. I was really scared about the green pit stop, to be honest, but it's not an easy entry. Yeah, I managed to win this.
Well, you did a great job, and there was a couple of restarts, including one late in the race. That had to be pretty nerve-wracking to come out of turn 4 under caution to take the green flag with about 20 laps to go. Tell me about the restarts. How was that you've adjusted to that on a track like this, and how were you able to get such a good restart and keep Wood behind you?
Well, I always do the same in every restart at every track. I always go when the pace car come in. So in this track, more is in this track you have to start even earlier because the DTR is so bad. So race car go in and I smash the throttle the throttle pedal.
Well, it worked out.
I was really nervous in the last restart because I don't know what's gonna happen if the people behind me pit or not. So really nervous the last restart, to be honest.
Well, it worked out for you, Pablo. Congratulations on your first win this season, and good luck to you in the next rounds. We'll see you next time.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Alexis Newsom finished 4th today, her first top 5 of the season in her number 63. Alexis, congratulations. First top 5 of the season. Take us through tonight's race. It was an upward climb and some good battles all around.
Yeah, I missed the qualifying just a little bit. I think I could have been a couple spots higher, but it ended up working out. I didn't think those guys would pit there at the end because I only had a couple laps on my tires, so I knew I could hold them off. So I just stayed out. But yeah, glad to get my first top 5 in IES.
Well, looking at the season so far, we've had a couple of ovals, a couple of road courses. You came into the night, it looks like 10th in the standings, but we head into another road course, and you finished 10th at Road America. Do you think you can finish even higher next week at Mid-Ohio?
I'm not sure. I'm mediocre at best on road. But who knows what might happen with attrition and everything else.
All right, well, Alexis, congratulations. 4th place tonight after starting in 10th. Good luck to you next week at Mid-Ohio. We'll see you there.
Thank you.
Thank you. And with that, we're going to wrap things up from Twin Ring Motegi here, Finney. What a battle, what a race. It was very challenging to pass, but even with that reality, still some great racing, as always, here in the Indy Elite Series.
Yeah, we still saw some drivers say, nah, it's fine. It's totally fine to pass. And we still saw guys out there making some moves. People like Newsom. Sandra Wood making a few moves out there, especially Motegi working from his deficit in qualifying, was able to claw back a podium out of it. So yeah, drivers still able to make some work for her, but I'm sure they're going to be glad going Mid-Ohio will be passing will be at least a little bit easier, especially for the road-focused guys.
Next week, Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, a great racetrack just a couple hours away from Columbus, Ohio. We'll see you there next week. And Kyle Heyer and Finney DeCuna bringing you the 4th round of the season from Twin Ring Motegi, round 5 next week from Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. We'll see you there.